Lucia woke up with a start that morning, as if her body hadn't yet understood that she no longer needed to get up early. The alarm clock had remained there, punctual at 6, to remind her of the times when she had to prepare breakfast, unpack backpacks, and make sure no one went out without a jacket. But by then, there was no one in the house anymore. The bed next to hers had been empty for years. Her husband had left when their children were still teenagers, too busy with the desire to find himself to realize that he was losing a family. Lucia had gritted her teeth, worked as a registry clerk for 30 years, made ends meet, and gave her all to her children, Andrea and Chiara. And now that they were grown up, they had taken flight. Andrea had moved abroad. He was married and always in a hurry. Chiara, the youngest, had recently left to work in another city. It was precisely that move, so quickly, that had left her feeling empty. No more noise in the house, no one to wait for dinner, and no one to take care of. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our stories. Silence had become a presence, a constant buzz that filled her ears and her heart. Lucia wandered around the house arranging pillows, tidying drawers that were already tidy, ironing tablecloths that she would never use. She cooked as if she still had someone to feed. Then she froze everything and found herself with piles of dishes to wash, just to occupy a few more minutes of her time. The phone calls with her children had become short, often hurried. "Sorry, Mom, I have a meeting. I'll call you back later. Everything is fine here, don't worry." But she worried. Not about them, about herself. She had become a woman adrift with no clear direction anymore. One afternoon, after shopping without even knowing what to cook, Lucia stopped in front of the old window of the neighborhood flower shop. It had recently reopened. The wooden boxes with lavender and daisies seemed to smile at her from the street. She went in, almost without thinking. Behind the counter, a girl in her 30s smiled at her. "Good evening, madam. Are you looking for something in particular?" Lucia shook her head. "Just a look. It's so beautiful in here." "Thank you. I opened recently. I used to work in an office, but then I decided to change my life. Now I'm happy even if I get dirt on my hands every day," the girl said, laughing. Those words remained in Lucia's mind for days. Now I'm happy even if I get dirt on my hands. She, on the other hand, hadn't gotten her hands dirty for a long time. Not for anything that was hers, at least. The following week she came back. She bought a basil plant, then a lavender, then 3 cyclamens. Soon, her balcony, which before was just cement and dust, was transformed into a lively corner full of color. Every morning she got up, went out with a cup of coffee, and started checking the leaves, moving the pots according to the sun. She started reading online tips for repotting. She discovered names she didn't know, like verbena and Bidens. She filled a notebook with dates and indications on each plant, as if they were little green children to be cared for. The neighbors started to notice it. "Lucia, what a beautiful balcony. You should come and fix mine too," they said jokingly. And she smiled, blushing a little, but inside she felt proud. Finally, she was starting to feel alive again. One day, while she was taking her geraniums to the terrace, she saw a flyer stuck to the gate of the neighborhood senior center. They were looking for volunteers for recreational activities. At first she hesitated. Then she took courage and introduced herself. She still had so much to give. She spoke to the person in charge, a kind man named Lorenzo. She proposed an idea. "We could plant some flowers in the flower beds together, maybe with someone who wants to be outdoors. I would bring everything. It would just be for the pleasure of doing something beautiful. He accepted. And so, one spring morning, Lucia showed up with gloves, shovels, seeds, and a basket of seedlings. Some elderly people approached timidly. Others watched from afar. But then, a woman named Teresa asked, "Can you give me a hand with this? I chose geraniums like my mother's." Another gentleman, Mario, said that when he was young, he worked in the nurseries. Lucia listened to them, helped them, explained. She came home tired, with black nails and a heart full of joy for having spent her day to the full and done something good. The day one of the guests told her, "I'm waiting for Tuesday just to see you arrive with those vases," Lucia cried. But this time they were different tears. It was no longer melancholy, it was gratitude. When her children called her, they always found her busy. "Mom, are you always busy now?" Andrea joked. "Yes, I have things to do. I have roses and water crisis and grandparents to make smile," she replied, laughing. One Saturday afternoon, Chiara came home unexpectedly, without warning. She had taken a last-minute train, driven by nostalgia and the need to see her mother again. As soon as she opened the door, she was greeted by an inebriating scent of lavender and basil mixed with the warmth of the oven. She advanced into the corridor, and when she looked out onto the balcony, she was speechless. The railings were adorned with overflowing flower pots, vases carefully arranged in every corner, and in the center, a small table in light wood, repainted by hand. A simple corner, but full of love. The house was a bit messy. There were bags of soil next to the door, gardening books open on the sofa, and a few dry leaves on the floor. But it was that warm, living mess that smells of real life. Chiara was moved. "Mom, you've been reborn. I've never seen you so beautiful." Lucia turned around, surprised and happy. Her eyes shone, tired but serene. "You know, honey, I just realized one thing. I shouldn't have kept waiting for life to come back to me. I had to be the one to go and look for it." Then they hugged, tightly, as if in that hug there was all the distance of those months. That afternoon, she organized a small snack outside, inviting the neighbors, some guests from the center, and Viola, the young florist who, without knowing it, had given her the push. Between cups of tea, laughter, and newly bloomed plants, Lucia looked at her balcony full of people. It was no longer a place of waiting. It had become a starting point. And as the sun went down and the golden light caressed the leaves, Lucia realized that her children had left the house, but she had found herself again. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next story.